Forgive me for saying that this conversation is kind of cherry-picked, but I do have some sort of a reason to believe that these types of numbers are a bit misleading. Like, I know I'm kind of the guy that makes videos on this YouTube channel about players that are scoring at comparable rates to other superstars in NHL history. It happens a lot, but when you go over to what exactly some of these conversations mean, obviously the outcomes are a little bit different each time, and you can't just compare one set of numbers to another set of numbers and definitively say that the first guy is going to be like the second guy or whatever. I just wanted to preface this entire video by establishing that fact. So, today we're talking about the Montreal Canadiens' first overall pick, Juraj Slafkovsky, and the goals he has scored so far. No, we're not talking about the suspension, we're not talking about the fact that he missed yesterday's game against Vancouver. I actually think this is a great opportunity to talk about him because since he's not playing against Vancouver and he's not going to play another game as well, there is a little bit of breathing room to really absorb this idea, this stat, these numbers so far as Juraj Slafkovsky kicks off his NHL career. At the time of recording this audio, Slafkovsky, in 10 games played, has 3 goals and 0 assists for 3 total points. He's on pace for 24 goals over the span of 79 games, and that's a pretty good number, if I do say so myself, especially for a guy in his first overall 18-year-old season. Now, sure, is Slafkovsky Patrick Laine? Is he Austin Matthews? Is he Jack Eichel or McDavid? No, he's not necessarily that, but just getting a guy that, as Kent Hughes said, they think is going to be the best player years from now and isn't the best player right now from the draft, this is a pretty good baseline to start, especially if you want to assume that as the year continues, Slafkovsky is going to improve and get a tad better, etc., etc. This is why when you go over to Grant McCagg's Twitter account, he made a post of former first overall picks who played in the NHL in their draft years the last 40 years. Now, draft years, I think he means like the year itself. So, Slafkovsky's draft year was 2021-2022, aka 2022 because it was drafted in the 2022 draft, and then he made the NHL in 22-23, so there's some overlap there. I think that's kind of what McCagg means. He pretty much means first overall picks that played in the NHL right away. And on this list, he sorted it by goals per game. The write-up here says that Leaf fans were miffed at Matthews and the fact that he wasn't included in McCagg's stats showing first overall draft picks goal scoring to start out their rookie season, so I've included forwards that turned 19 before December 31st of their draft seasons. None of them tore it up early on. It's an adjustment. As you can see right here, Alexander Daig had 5 goals in his first 9 games. We all know Daig was a pretty bad hockey player, all things considered. Okay, maybe not bad, he was okay, it's just comparative to the hype that he got, he definitely did not live up to expectations. Lindros had 5 goals in his first 10 games for a .5 goals per game. Kovalchuk had 7 goals in his first 16, Nugent Hopkins had 5 goals in his first 12, Clark had 6 and 15, McDavid had 5 and 13, Juraj Slafkovsky had 3 goals in his first 9 games, which puts him right underneath McDavid, Clark, Nugent Hopkins, Kovalchuk, Lindros, and Daig, and above a guy like Austin Matthews, for example, who had 6 goals in his first 19 games of NHL action. That's good enough for a .31 goals per game, and then you could see the rest of the list. Crosby had 2 goals in his first 12, Lemieux 2 goals in his first 13, McKinnon had 2 in his first 17, and the list kind of goes on as you get further down. It's kind of interesting, actually, taking a look at 18-year-old players and seeing how poorly their goal productions were to kick off their NHL careers. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think we all know that Mario Lemieux, Nico Hischier, Stamkos, Rick Nash, these guys all had pretty good NHL careers. Some of them are in the midst of having good NHL careers, some greater than others, of course. Hischier is not the same as Lemieux, but the fact is, Slafkovsky is on this list, and he is pretty high up there, above names like Matthews and Kane and Jack Hughes and Crosby and Taylor Hall. In fact, these numbers were put onto RDS in a graphic where they talk about where does Slafkovsky rank in terms of best starts as an 18-year-old. There's the list here with some hand-picked, cherry-picked names. McDavid, Slafkovsky, Crosby, Stamkos, and it says, yeah, Slafkovsky, 3 buts dans 9 premières matches, something like that. I don't know. I was really good at French in high school, but it's been a while since I've been in high school. I do kind of feel like these are a bit cherry-picked because, of course, this doesn't go over assists. If you go over to Connor McDavid's first season and you use the same sample of 5 goals in 13 games, you'll acknowledge that McDavid actually had 7 assists in those first 13 games as well, putting his point-per-game number up to 5 plus 7, 12. Slafkovsky has 0 assists so far in the first 9 games he has played, 10 games now because he had no goals in the game against the Detroit Red Wings. And then as you go over to the other names, I mean, yeah, Matthews, it says here he had 6 goals in his first 19 games of NHL action, so let's go over to Matthews' ESPN game log and look at the first 19 games over here to kick off his NHL career. Obviously, 4 of those goals came in the first game of the year, which is kind of nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, no, Matthews was kind of cold to start off his NHL career. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 assists in that 19-game sample. So you add on 6 goals to 7 assists, that is a total of 13 points in 19 games. Definitely a better point-per-game number than Slafkovsky has so far, considering he has 0 assists. So this is kind of why I said it was a bit cherry-picked, because only isolating goals in a sample where a lot of players don't really score all too many goals doesn't make Slafkovsky's 3 goals in 10 games all too impressive, in my opinion. Sure, it's good to see him score goals, and I definitely don't want to discourage him from producing more goals, but the guy's got to get a little bit more assists out there. He's got to show a bit more before I start saying, oh, this is a guy that should be compared to guys like McDavid and Matthews because he's right there, slotted between them for goals scored in the first X amount of games they've played. And furthermore, the fact that all of these stats are so different, Daig's first 9 games, Lindros's first 10 games, Kovalchuk's first 16, Hall, his first 17, Hischier 17, Lemieux 13, Matthews 19, Slafkovsky 9. Because it's so all over the place, it's even more cherry-picked. And I know Grant McCagg is just trying to make a point here, saying, yeah, no, like Slafkovsky's right there, he's neck and neck with all the other guys, but take a look at the total goals for. The extended uncut version, the fact that McDavid had 16 goals in 40-something games played. Austin Matthews, hey, the guy had 40 goals in his rookie season. So we'll wait till the end of the year. We'll see what happens when Slafkovsky comes back. In fact, if you do the math right here, I mean, Slafkovsky didn't get a goal against Detroit, so he's at 3 goals in 10 games played now. That's a .3 flat goals per game, which puts him right in the same territory as Patrick Kane and behind Austin Matthews. So, yeah, this is kind of cherry-picked, isn't it? You can talk in the comments, though, whether or not it was actually worth it for me to point out how cherry-picked this is, or if you're just kind of like, okay, well, I mean, it's not a bad thing to make a list like this. It's still interesting to see where other first overall picks have started their careers out in terms of their goal-scoring capabilities. It's just that Slafkovsky appears to be one of the better ones, oddly enough, even though he's got 0 assists. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Juraj Slafkovsky's rookie season so far, the goals that he has scored, the fact that he is on this list, and he is doing pretty well with the names around him considered. It's just, in my mind, I don't think there's enough meat on the bone to really think of this as a defining characteristic of his rookie campaign. Oh, the guy's scoring as many goals as Matthews did. Or, oh, he's going to get more goals individually than Patrick Kane is going to get. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, these are all different players, and they're all of different magnitudes of talent as well. Different skills, different flourishing abilities, etc., etc. So, talk in the comments your thoughts about Slafkovsky and the first overall rookie season he's having and the goal scoring he's producing along the way. I hope you enjoyed this video, Juraj Slafkovsky, and bye.